Thank you everyone for finding time for this session on SaaS democratization, how we use security, address risk today in a software-based service environment. I have with me my fellow panelists who come from domains in hospitality, retail, financial services. And I would like to introduce Ambarish, who joined us from Flipkart, Dominic Vijay, who joined us from Art House, Ashish Khanna, who joined us from the Oberoi group, and Mansi, who joined us from Jacquar. If we can have a quick kind of introductions.
Hey, thanks. Myself, Ambarish. I'm part of Flipkart. I'm part of Flipkart security team. I've been with Flipkart for last 6 years or so. Before that, I was a part of defense services, part of cyber security of defense forces. In Flipkart, we are looking after the various aspects of cyber security.
Thanks, Ambarish, Ashish, if we can hear from you.
Hi, my name is Ashish Khanna. I work with Oberoi Hotels and Resorts as the Chief Information Security Officer for the company. We operate 32 hotels globally. Apart from that, we also operate the flight catering business and the printing press division. So that entire formation is called the Oberoi Group. I have been as part of the group for over 15 years now, and I'm a IT hospitality professional. So prior to this, I was with Taj Hotels, and then prior to that, I was with Mahindra and Mahindra. Thank you for having me. Look forward to having this session.
Thanks, Ashish. Dominic, if we can hear from you.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Dominic. I'm the head of IT for an housing finance company. I come with multiple domain expertise. Initially started off with hotels. Basically, I started off my career with Oberoi Hotels. Later moved on to aviation with Deccan and Kingfisher. Then was with Max Insurance for a short while. Then moved on to the financial industry. And I'm with Heart Housing from last 6 years. I had the technology, security, and the compliance for the organization. And we are in the industry from last 7 years. We operate on the northern and the western part of India, and we are one of the digital-driven housing finance companies. It started off housing loan is a purely digital way. Okay, so these are the few things which about my company, and look forward to meeting you all and continuing with this. Thanks.
Thanks, Dominic. Mansi, if we can hear from you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mansi. I'm heading information security at Jaquar Group. Jaquar Group is the India's leading bathroom manufacturing company with over 70% of market share. We are also have a global presence, and I'm heading the global information security as well. I'm really looking forward to a great session where my career is concerned. I've got 20 years of experience, and I worked in all verticals of IT, be it operations, development, STLC, now security, program management, and also I have done some 7 or 8 years of experience in management side of things as well, because I was also heading the MD's office in Jaquar Group. So that's about me. I'm really looking forward to this panel.
Thanks, Mansi. So, we can start off with our questions, and, I would want you to take the first question for us. You've seen that software as a service is something which is not new, and a lot of organizations are already using SaaS-based applications today. But post-COVID, dynamics have really changed because the way SaaS applications were developed erstwhile, everybody was coming to office. Now, the SaaS-based developer are working from home. So, given the change in dynamics, how comfortable are you today to use SaaS-based applications in your business environment?
See, it's a very good question, I would say. But yes, SaaS is the new thing. That is what I would say. That now it has gone that you need to build in infrastructures, get applications made by yourselves, because there are so many people giving you so good applications which are already there. But yes, there are a lot of risk involved, especially because of COVID and because of the model how SaaS works. So that we really need to understand that everything now moves out from your perimeter. So now you're the one, and everybody is saying data is the new oil, right? So my data is now not with me; it is now on somebody else's application. So my IT people do not have control over anything which is happening. So I even internal threats we used to talk about now have an external party looking after everything. So how secure am I there? How what kind of controls they have in place? That is a big risk which I really see. So third is of course that there are so many zero-day attacks which are coming in. now these days. So how now, if I'm a say, information security head of an organization, I know I have these controls in place. I'm looking after 0 day, what all things I'm doing. But what this SaaS application provider is doing, that I really need to look at. And fourth, I would say is compliance, which I really feel that there are so many new compliances which are in the market called GDPR, HIPAA, now PDPA is coming. So how the SaaS applications are managing that so that I don't get into trouble. So these are some of the things which I really look at when I'm looking at SaaS applications. I'm sure my fellow friends can add more to it. But yes, the risk has increased.
Great. Dominic, you want to add to what Mansi just
Yeah, yeah.
spoke?
In addition to what Mansi was saying, was one is the compliance, and if I look at my organization, we are a regulated organization. We come under RBI and NHB. So my main focus will be when you have a SaaS-based application, we ought to see where is my data resisting, whether it's within India, out of India. If it is within India, is it the original, the complete data setup is here, or the mirror technology is built there so that only one part of the data is available. The second thing is, as a financial organization, we can take too much of KYC of the customers. Basically, any lending business today is more concentrating on the banking financials and the KYC of the customers, which is very crucial data. Okay, you talk about the Aadhaar number, the PAN number, the banking details, and his birth, a lot of other things, which is part of the compliance, and it has to be stored in a very secure format. So on a SaaS model, when you start when your application is hosted on a SaaS model, now I am not very clear how secure is my data. For example, Aadhaar cards, Aadhaar numbers, Aadhaar UIDA very clearly says that Aadhaar number stored should be stored under Aadhaar Vault. It cannot be stored on the local database. Now I create an Aadhaar Vault on the SaaS model and keep it, but how secure is it? Where is it stored? Who's accessing it? I just get the control of the admin control of holding my application. Second thing is when we look at SaaS model post-COVID, like we still have people who are working from home and all those things. Max to max we can do is we can connect an application only through the VPN and give them a secure. We assume that it is a secure communication between the cloud provider as well as my this, and it is not as safe as the corporate network when you look at, and the kind of connectivity we have at every individual's house, that broadband is never a secured environment, though we give an VPN also. So we have a lot of, there is, when you look at SaaS model, one way it is good, the other way you have it has got its own pros and cons, which is very, which is a very serious issue. When you talk about the data security, the privacy, control over your data, then second, you talk about the performance and availability. There are certain times where your servers go down. You don't know where is the DR site, which part of India they're holding the DR site, how secure is your environment, and how are you going to take control of it tomorrow if there is an insolvency of the particular DC cloud provider? How guarantees that my data is going to come back to me? In what format my data is going to come back to me? Okay, if I'm taking a backup, is it coming back to me? Because as a compliance, as an RBI compliant company, they say your data should be stored for 7 years, 10 years, and it has to be stored on a magnetic tape. You need to have multiple DR sites, everything. But technically speaking, one on SaaS application, you don't do all those things. SaaS, they say it is the DR is there. One is in Bombay, another one is in Central in Bangalore, and you have a BCP site. So these are certain things where one way SaaS is good, costing wise it is good. In dependency on the individual IT team comes down. Okay, it works more on OPEX model. There is no that we can cut down on the cash flow. But on the other side of it, when you talk about the security of the data, that in India especially, we are still not matured enough to go for a SaaS model, especially when it comes to core business applications like your financial application, your SAPs, or Salesforce is already on the cloud model, but that's got a different way to work. So these are my few of my things which I feel SaaS, it's got both pros and cons. It's good as well as at the same time there are certain things which we have to improve further. Second thing, we have to also look at the infrastructure at the user end post COVID. How secure is the infrastructure? Which company cannot do anything on that? The individual has to take care of. And end user, the end user device, what kind of devices you are going to use? When you're using a laptop, company-based laptop, then you have certain security feature. But if you are using your own devices, then I don't think there is any control over it there. Then you need to bring in your BOID. There's an equivalent cost also getting involved in that, maintaining the BOID, or you bring in the VID solution, virtual desktop. Again, there is a cost getting involved. So it's a multiple reaction to have a SaaS-based application. It cannot be like if you have your own data center, yes, you have everything in-house, you're maintaining, controlling everything. It's not that. These are some of my takeaways for this first question and in sync with Mansi's.
Sure. Ambarish, you want to add to what Dominic and Mansi just spoke? You use a lot of third-party service providers, right? your core business is not IT, your business is online retail. So how do you handle some of these key issues and risks?
Sure. So thanks, Mansi and Dominic, for highlighting those key issues what we all face on utilizing a SaaS-based application. See, our organization is born in cloud, okay, and we use a lot of applications, and most of the applications are in-house built, but we use SaaS applications. So we have the process in place. Like, see, it's not about my organization, any organization. You want to outsource something to anybody. How deep, how structured your third-party assessment is, and how often you are doing it. What is the assessment of your various partners you have? Suppose you are shipping some data onto the any SaaS platform, whether it is PI data or it is normal data. It could be a training engagement, right? Or it could be PI data you are shipping. So depend upon that, how in-depth third-party assessment you do, that will give you the security assurance to you, and that will give you confidence. If tomorrow something goes wrong, you are that much you are confident about where the data is lying. Second thing, if you talk about the security products, even you talk about in uh, COVID scenario, right? SaaS application has performed really well because we are. I think other organizations also must be struggling. Suppose tomorrow you want to push some DLP policy, you want to push some update and upgrade, and work from home scenario, people are not on VPN. How will push that? If you are a SaaS-based application, you are already using any EDI technology, you are using CASB, you are upfront, you are able to push those updates and upgrades in hours, right? You are able to change those rules upfront, and there is no dependency on users connecting back to you, probably because you may not be giving VPN to everybody, right? Because everyone may not be requiring that. That is beauty of. Third is that once you do a third party assessment, you do the risk assessment. Based on the risk assessment, what is the you have risk exposure to the respective partner, you decide the frequency, how frequency you want to do the assessment, and thereafter you take it as a maturity in depth. So this is what my take is on this.
Sure. Ashish, you come from an industry where trust is, you know, the forefront of the business. And, with COVID happening, how do you see, the dynamics have changed and how do you take care of some of the risks which have come in?
Uh, so yeah, you're right, Kanishk. And talking about trust, I think there's a saying that trust is one of the hardest thing to earn, but then it is the easiest to lose.
Mhm.
So a SaaS provider needs to earn the trust of the enterprise with which they are working with. It is very, very important. And when you have competition around the product line which you are working on, how do you create your own USP and your own niche is very, very important. I think few of the things which a SaaS provider could do in order to achieve the customer trust is by showcasing the conduct of the way the application is being treated and developed in their setup. So right from the product engineering time, is security part of the whole SDLC cycle of the product, or it is just a post facto thought of building that application, and that remains still a big challenge even today with the application developers. That security is always an afterthought most of the time. It is an afterthought. So whether security is part of your design and the product engineering, I think that is one of the very important aspect. The second part is the deployment of the application. So whether you are deploying it on a public, you're consuming it from a private cloud, or you are taking it taking a particular instance of a virtual private cloud for yourself from the leading providers. Uh, what is your deployment strategy? Uh, uh, is zero trust framework part of your design of delivering that SaaS, wherein you don't trust by default anybody who's coming in while delivering that application, whether uh, basic hygiene like integration with your authentication database, integration with your single sign-on, MFA, are these part of the core basis of the product which is being offered, rather than you post fitting it these multiple pieces separately in order to give it to your people. And because in the current era, people are accessing the applications from anywhere on any sort of devices. So all these features built into the core platform actually helps you build that trust. Uh, no compromise on the compliance certifications. PCI, SOC 2, these are the compliances which you can't cut corners on that. Customer, when he's making choice, he you would always look at that, whether you have these certifications done, and if these certifications are done, uh, certificates like SOC 2, the I mean, this certificate was specifically built for the SaaS players, right? Trust is the basic principle of having a SOC 2 certification. And once you're working with a provider who has got a SOC 2 certification, it is very easier for you to trust that application, as well as your auditors also come and start trusting it, because there is a basic hygiene which has been taken care of. Uh, the data movement must be encrypted end to end. So or your client and server sessions must always be end to end encrypted. Again, basic hygiene. uh, you make sure you have an automated vulnerability testing process, and that process is an ongoing process, and you should be able to give the results transparently of that vulnerability assessment to your customers, which does not only bring the trust back of the customer, but also helps customer to get that trust within the organization and with the external auditors. So these are the couple of things, and one last thing which I would want to say is that maybe having a virtual private cloud of yourself. There are specific offerings from the leading service providers. So instead of going on to and latching onto a public cloud, if you are working in a regulated environment, it is far better to cut out a private cloud instance for yourself, wherein you have the entire cloud, the instance which you are running. So these are the couple things which comes to my mind.
Thanks, Ashish, for those insights. Mansi, we have seen that the world has moved towards regulated environment. We have seen GDPR got implemented, and we have seen its ramifications both in EU and outside. And we see that India is now moving towards a data protection bill, which will be tabled in the winter session of the parliament. So, how important is privacy of customers' data? And when it comes to managing it using SaaS-based application, what do you think could be some of the key areas, controls which we could build to have strong governance in picture?
Yeah, so I would say that privacy is something which is long awaited, and yes, I'm very happy that India is also now taken that path of privacy, because see, we as a Indian citizen also would always want that our data should be protected, right? It should not go into wrong hands. So same goes for all organizations. All organizations, be it big and small, should take this as a moral responsibility that yes, even if the bill is not there, we should really put in secure measures and governance that privacy is managed. That is what is my motto, and that is what our the organization also feels. So now coming back to, yes, if we are now moving into SaaS applications, now from the organization side, what we can do to have a good governance. One thing which I really feel is that once, as Ashish said, there are two sides of any application in SaaS. One is the application itself. So we need to see what kind of process is built in into the application to manage all these privacy concerns. How data is encrypted, whether they are storing it somewhere else. Where are they storing the backups? What happens is sometimes the application, the data is secure, right, but the backup is going, and the backup does not have any encrypted data which is kept there. So how secure is the backup? Second is the infrastructure. Mostly what happens is when you go to SaaS applications, the providers will say, oh, I am hosted on AWS, and it is GDPR compliant, I can give you all the certifications. Okay, the cloud provider is GDPR compliant, but is your application GDPR compliant? That is one thing which people miss to check. That yes, my infrastructure is fine, it has got all the security in place. Now with the application which is storing the customer data, how is that storing? Because AWS will not take responsibility of the application running on it. So how secure is that? That we need to really look at from the governance section, that how is securing the data which is there. Second is have very stringent contracts in place with his SaaS provider, that that so that, that he knows that it is his responsibility to manage your data. God forbid if any compliance hit comes, or if we need to pay any fines, how is he involved in that? SaaS based application. Can we shift the responsibility somewhere there? So that is the second thing which I really look at. That what and third is, I have built a questionnaire in place, that before going into any SaaS application, you should have a GDPR or a privacy questionnaire in place, which really tells you whether this person is compliant or not. So they also know that privacy is important to you. So they'll also not try to cut corners. Fourth, I would say what Ashish said, that yes, compliances are there, but yes, what kind of certifications they have in place. We should really look at that, because that really gives you a security that yes, even if they are not, they are moving towards the journey of privacy, but yes, they have the intent to do it. So the intent we really need to look at, where the governance is concerned. That is what, I really look at when I'm looking at any SaaS applications.
Sure. So Ambarish, you said your business started on cloud, right? And when Flipkart started, GDPR did not exist. Privacy did not exist.
Yeah.
Safe harbor did not exist. Now today, when you see the privacy model maturing and more countries in the world becoming protectionist, how do you see this impacting your business? Do you see privacy controls being built onto existing applications which are SaaS based, or how do you see the maturity curve?
So yeah, this is a great question. So one is that on-prem applications what we have, and one is the SaaS-based application. So most of the eventually around 99% applications which are serving the customers are homegrown. It is in-house developed. Okay, and now we are working very aggressively on the. We know roughly what is the requirement of the GDPR, and already there is a dedicated team working on how to be compliant with that, because there are a lot of strict norms. Like suppose you as a customer, probably you all might have been shopping on Flipkart. At any given point of time, you want to know your data has been shared with which are the partners. Let me know. That has to be available on the fly. Second thing could be like you want to know, you want to just say, okay, please delete my all data from your platform, and every place this should be done within specified time. This is the very easy to say, but it is very, very difficult to achieve this. From the third party assessment perspective, yes, we have got very robust third party assessment process. Okay, as Dominic and Mansi were talking about it. So we take a data as a center point. Okay, I will just say while assessment, we look at the infrastructure security, data security, application security, their vulnerability management program, and incident response. Very, very deep. And anybody who do not have a vulnerability assessment, and mainly penetration testing our application from a reputed partner, we just don't do the business. And at times they just come to us, okay, can you recommend me some partners who are reputed? We give them list of reputed partners with whom they can get the VAPT done. Okay, that much we are strict. And now based on the rating of the various partners, based on risk assessment, we do at regular interval. Okay, and we make sure that we know who all from the partner can have access to my data, and why. Okay, and tomorrow something goes wrong, what kind of incident response process they have built into, and they react to it. And thereafter we make sure that this is inbuilt into the contract, and Infosec clauses are built into the contract, and right to audit, etc., so that Flipkart has got right to audit at any given point of time whenever we feel like, with a prior notice, whatever it is. Okay, third thing I would just wanted to talk about is that how we are transacting the data with the partner. Is it API? Is it SFTP, etc.? If it is API, is the vulnerability VAPT of API has been done, and who has done it? And whatever data we want to ship, is the only bare minimum data being shipped, or is this a bulk data? Whatever they want, they are taking it. So there is a sanity check at each point, so that data at rest, data at motion, and data in use, security of the data is taken care, and encryption whatever level is required, that he applied before he starts shipping logs to the partner in any format. And we make sure that we do not engage with any partner without having a detailed and valid contract. Then only this transaction will happen. And this is what we build that trust over a period of time with the partner. And like suppose even if you're not able to do audit, we make sure that we take their, if they are SOC 2, Ashish says SOC 2, SOC 3 compliant, make sure that we collect those reports, latest report, and we go through the report. If we find something we want to verify, we ask questions to the partner. And last, one of the point I just want to mention is that we make sure during assessment is that tomorrow Flipkart want to, or any organization want to get away from that partner, how sure they are that they will be able to give the certificate that they do not hold my organization data anymore. So tomorrow we depart from them, they get breached, we are doubly sure legally that they do not have our data. So these are things normally we do in depth at regular cadence to ensure that our SaaS partners are doing due diligence, and we are really confident, because accountability of the data security lies with the parent organization. However, we are leveraging the services of somebody. Yeah. Thank you.
And I would want, Amrish, you to hold on to that thought, because I want to bring in Ashish here. Ashish, we want to talk about data breaches. Now, we have seen that a lot of these SaaS-based applications, providers today, they get breached, right? And a lot of them don't notify, and these things come out later. And because they have been, getting access to data of some of their customers then get liable, because for certain customers they would have data of certain citizens, say, who are there in EU. So what could be some of the best practices you think could be built in to prevent data breaches from such third party SaaS based applications to impact your business?
I think all of us must agree on one thing: breaches will happen, they must happen. You can't avoid breaches. Uh, the only thing we can do is to ensure that the basic, hygienes have been taken care of, both from the contractual point of view, legal binding point of view, coverage in terms of risk, uh, maybe taking a cyber insurance, you know. So these are the basic hygienes which an organization can take care of. And if you are associating with the SaaS partner who has got the basic hygiene taken care of, like having a SOC 2 audit being done, regular VAPTs being done, ensuring that they have a clear data retention policies, and which is followed as per the customer contract. So if I have a contract with the service provider to keep my data only for 2 years, how is that they are ensuring that the data is being deleted? Is there a manual intervention, or it is being automatically done? Uh, does the platform offer you granular user level, access defined, so you can actually go on and granularly define on only a need to know basis access. So, you can only ensure these hygienes are there in place in order to minimize the impact. On your, I just want to, so that, I mean, on your question, this question, I just wanted to say that, but just on your previous questions, I wanted to add another point on the privacy part. With PDPB coming, play, there's a very important point in PDPB which is different from GDPR and has been a point of contention for many. I don't know how it will pan out. Is the data localization, right? And that's where your SaaS provider, you need to choose your SaaS provider in such a way that he can actually clearly give you a certificate that the data of your organization is sitting in their cloud, but sitting out of this particular geography. Which at the time of choosing the partner, I think we should start preparing for that. That's what we have been doing, and that's one suggestion which I wanted to leave.
So, so Mansi, do you believe that for privacy, do we need to, change the model? How do we build vendor governance, risk management with respect to privacy, right? Because there is so much amount of PII which gets moved
Yes.
out from the corporate environment, and most of these service providers don't comply to local laws of the country because they don't have not set up offices, and they've got such a strong legal team which will always send you contracts which will be what in 1,000 pages, and getting them to read and then to get a sign off is difficult. So how do you build up governance aspects?
See, one thing is now that we need to go through those contracts and get into that discussion with them. Otherwise, the company's fines are very huge. So now it's a boardroom topic. So I don't think we'll have any problem getting good legal teams as well from our side, because the organization now understand that 2% of my global turnover. So everybody is now really looking. That is the reason we are discussing it here. So that
Yeah.
governance is already in place. That first governance is that it should have a management buy-in. So now that is what is there. Management buy-in is already there where privacy is concerned. Second is, yes, I know that they are situated in different places and we don't know like how to work on it. But we really need to look at how they are developing the applications as well. That also, I think somewhere if we can, I'm not so good at finding ways how we can do it. But yes, one is that okay, there is a production environment and they have deployed there and they've got put every stringent measures in place. But now they're developing the application. Where is that development being happening? As is my data being transferred as a test data there, or things like that. Maybe someone who works in applications can guide us better. So that is an open-ended question I'll leave to everybody. That I'm also very really need to know that how we can manage that where privacy is concerned.
Yes, so I saw Ambarish smiling. I think probably he has some solution because he has handled this issue sometime.
So yeah, so they know solution, automated solution. It is just only trust and legal binding. Like we put that you cannot share my data with anybody without my
Yeah.
consent. So for the reason could be anything. So we say that you cannot outsource my activity to anybody what I am giving to you, and without my knowledge, if at all you have to do, let me know upfront. We because we have not done a security assessment, data assessment for that partner. You what I do not know about your processes. I need to be confident where you are doing, where you want to share, but that has to be prior permission, and then legal will change, agreement will change. This piece of this you are going to subcontract with somebody, and that somebody we will do the assessment for you. That is how we built. As Mansi said, there is no silver bullet for. See, we have to trust, and the trust we have to do with the reasonable security assurance. This is what we do, so that we are reasonably confident, but at the same time we know that something they might be hiding also. But we at times we do surprise audit also, like something called snap audit. Okay, we just say tomorrow we want to audit, we want to meet our team, just let me know, and we just do that. We ask certain questions, give me the evidence, this evidence, that evidence, etc. So we found out certain gaps also with the partners, and we told them, okay, within 24 hours this need to be fixed, and they fixed it. Okay, otherwise we just said that we are going to terminate the business. So but it becomes difficult for the again, it depends upon the how much how big your client you are. But if you're a small organization and all, probably they'll say, okay, okay, nothing doing, right? But if your agreement is watertight, you are big enough, and you are able to maneuver the system, and they also provider also maturing over a period of time. They know now, if you ask any 3 years back, when we were putting 4 years back, we were putting these processes in place. We are doing assessment of the logistic providers, etc. So we talk about DTDC, correct? If we talk about VAPT, they were not knowing about what is VA and PT. Ask them VAPT, they gave me the VA report. I told them this is a VA report, give me the PT report. They told them we have never done it, correct? So now every talk any partner, they know today what is VA PT. Otherwise, normally they know VA is the PT. This is basic. I'm just talking about. So that is what we are handling, and that's what how matured your processes are. How you are ensuring that, because you cannot have much control over their ecosystem. Okay, you can control your data, how this data is being shipped, how this is being stored, how this is being managed, and the watertight agreement, etc. This is what we are doing currently. We want to mature further on this.
So now there is, another issue which comes in that a lot of times SaaS-based service providers don't build in customization. They've got a standard application which comes in, and a lot of times they don't suit your line of business, right? So, and everybody is now trying to push you towards SaaS-based applications. So, how do you make those choices? That would you stay away with the co-located solution or host certain applications in your dedicated environment, or move to a SaaS environment, even if it is making your business a little uncomfortable. So how do you make those choices? Mansi, we can hear from you first.
Yeah, so I would say that we need to weigh all the pros and cons. It's not one solution fit all. So basically, the thing is that what are the problem areas you're trying to solve. If it is like you're going to a SaaS application solves your 90% of the problem, then I think you go on SaaS. But if it doesn't, then you go into an custom based application. But these days there are a lot of integration which are possible, and there are a lot of tools which help you to integrate between the SaaS application and your home based application. So what we are doing right now is we're running a hybrid kind of a thing, that in some of the SaaS application we are taking some parts of the SaaS application and taking some part of our our own, like we have just gone into Oracle Fusion. So which is an ERP which is a SaaS based ERP for Oracle. But yes, there are some things which are not available there. So what we are doing is we're developing it ourselves with the help of a partner, and then we're integrating it. And Oracle provides you a platform where the customer sees one window. So we have an SSO enabled so that the user who is experiencing it doesn't see that two different applications. So that at the end of the day it is a user experience. So both are integrated together, but SaaS and our own application is running together, but the user experiences doesn't see any difference in that. So this is kind of a thing which I think we need to work on. But yes, if some applications do not have this interface, then we really need to look at the pros and cons. That's how it is, like in any other evaluation of any other technology.
Customization, I agree with Mansi. Like, today most of the applications, most of the applications are API based, open platform it is come. Because I give an example. Recently, of late, we integrate our core banking system with the Experian. Basically, it tells you about your credit score, traditional, non-traditional data, then fraud check and all those things. And it is an automated decision making engine. It will tell you whether this particular customer is eligible for a loan. If he's eligible for a loan, is he going to be an NPA after what kind of year? Because that kind of data we have done. So it was very, rather than if it was a typical traditional application, then this integration wouldn't have been possible for us. Then we had to have both applications on-prem to integrate it. Since this, the complete DaaS Experian was a cloud-based solution, and we had an in-house application which we integrated using an API, and which was seamlessly. Everything happened at the back end. For the end user and as for the customer, it is just a single application which works on. So customization is required, and it is at the same time there are challenges also. Okay, and some applications don't work, and then we have to give up on that and work in a traditional manner.
What do you think could be done more? Because you see, there are so many SaaS based service providers which will come in and say they have something unique to offer, right? And they are far ahead in terms of technology versus what is available in the market. But when you end up negotiating your contracts, you see these contracts are pretty much one sided, right? They would be operating out of a country which probably you would have never heard, right? Recently I was talking to a company. They had the best of the technology, but they were based out of a country called as Estonia. Right now, the Estonia has a very different, very liberal way of operating, right? And the company had a digital citizenship, and right for its founders. So even that through that they were trying to operate. So in terms of the liabilities which will come to the promoters, they had ways of protecting. So without actually residing in a country, you had citizenship of a country. So those are models which have been built up. So how do you sustain with such vendors?
The first thing is that any application decision is a business decision. It's not a IT security or IT operations decision. So we have developed something called a privacy by design checklist, which is given to the business people. So everybody goes out in marketing team, sales team, and all of them, and they keep looking for applications which fulfill their business requirement. Once that privacy by design checklist is completed and complied with, that's when the security team come into play and does further due diligence in order to ensure whether we should go with this application or not, whether it and all the risk are weighed. As Ambarish said, that there is a steering committee which weighs all the risk and decide based on the organization appetite. But yeah, more and more such decisions are being taken because of the startup culture being coming in. So you find one of the startup working on a very very niche product. It has its pros and cons, but I think those calls need to be taken by a steering committee, which is a formulation of business, operations, and IT, so that the way to take that risk is assessed from all the corners of the organization, because at times that journey is like walking on a landmine. So a startup works very differently than any other organization, and your dependence over the period on that startup becomes very high.
Work from home has changed the dynamics, the way SaaS-based applications were getting made. Erstwhile, SaaS-based service provider had staff coming to office and making SaaS applications, and they would coordinate. And technologies such as Kubernetes, technologies such as Dockers, which allow people to, make changes in an environment or make changes on an application which is live, is not very readily used today, especially for cloud-based applications. We have seen some companies doing it really wonderfully. So if I talk about Netflix, if they have to upgrade a cloud-based application, they have technologies such as Kubernetes and Dockers. But some of the other providers have not switched on to some of these advanced technologies, and their developers today make changes on applications while working from home. So security is something which is not there by design in those applications, and we have seen that they coordinate, and a lot of times security is missed out by them, and these applications are either upgraded by existing service provider, or it could be a new deployment which you might be doing for automating a certain part of process using a SaaS based model. So how do you build in security, privacy? How do you build in trust? And Ashish, I want to go back to the zero trust model post pandemic, during COVID. How do you apply some of these models to this?
Security has to be part of the design of your engineering, product engineering, and that is one of the criteria of bringing trust when you select a SaaS partner. Accessing that during the pandemic time, and people working on it is a different question, which is that how can you provide secured access to that. And there are solutions to provide secured access to those developers who are working from home, even their personal devices, and they are no different in a sense than your employee who's working from office, and now even filing, who is working from home on his personal device, and even filing a GST return or doing financial transactions and so on. So that is coming to the zero trust part. So that zero trust framework needs to be actually be applied across everybody who is accessing it from outside. So basic principle of zero trust is trust nobody, right? Whether it's a third party, it is your employee, or even privileged users, you don't trust anybody. Once they connect and authenticate themselves on a multi-factor authentication layer, that is when you decide based on only role based what access do you want to give it to them. uh, I mean, I might have oversimplified the whole this thing, but that's what it means. So if there is a third party employee who is working from his home, you need to have solutions which ensures that he works on the application which is sitting in the office, like a mirror image, like a VDI machine or a Citrix based connection, so that he can work on the server, he can do all the deployment, yet he cannot download or take away anything. Uh, so that is more of a access layer question than you know uh, uh, the code review based, because that to me is a very basic thing to do at an initial level anyways.
Thank you so much. With this, I think we have come to the end of this session, and I would like to thank my fellow panelists for sharing their detailed insight and their views on this topic.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.